Welcome back, everyone. Ready to ditch those stuffy boardrooms? Today, we're diving into something a little different, something fueled by passion, a whole lot of hustle and ingenuity, bootstrapped businesses.
Definitely a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah,
We're always hearing about those big startups, the ones with the massive funding and those crazy complex business plans. But today, we're looking at how you can create something impactful and successful, starting with, well, a lot less.
yeah, exactly. And we'll be using Chris Guillebeau's The $100 Startup as our roadmap for this deep dive. It's amazing, really, packed with stories of everyday people who launched profitable businesses, all with minimal investment.
I think it's pretty incredible. Like the average startup cost was only, get this, $610.
Wow, $610. I mean, think about that. That's what, less than a month's rent in some places? Definitely less than some huge business loan or, I don't know, an MBA.
It really makes you think twice about what you need to get started, right?
Absolutely. So what's driving this whole micro business thing, you think?
Well, I think it's a few things, really. Technology, for one. It's never been easier to, say, reach a global audience, manage a business from, well, anywhere. I mean, just imagine you could be in a small village in India, teaching Excel and earning six figures. Crazy. But then there's also this growing, desire for independence. People want that work-life balance. And traditional jobs, well, they don't always offer that.
Guillebeau calls it, and I love this, a micro business revolution. And it does feel like, this shift in how we see success. It's not all about making millions anymore. It's about finding work that you're passionate about, having that freedom to kind of define your own path.
And that's where convergence comes in. It's like this sweet spot,
Yeah.
where your skills and your passions, all that stuff intersects with what people are willing to pay for.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like the absolute best at one thing,
Yeah.
but combining your unique skills the right way, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, it's like Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy, once said, success comes from combining your skills in a unique way, even if they aren't exceptional individually.
Exactly. And the $100 startup is like full of these examples, people doing just that. It's not always about follow your passion in the traditional sense, but more about figuring out how to help others with their passions.
Right, like Benny Lewis, for example. Huge passion for learning languages, right? Turn that into a whole business, teaching others his method.
Exactly. So it's not just about, what you offer, it's about the how. How do you frame it? These entrepreneurs, they get it. People are buying solutions to their problems, things to enhance their lives. Take the V6 Ranch. It's in California.
They're not just selling horseback riding.
Nope, not at all. They're selling a whole feeling and escape, Like, tap into that deep need by offering, the experience of being a cowboy for a day.
Ooh, I like that. Very clever.
Right. That's how you create value and stand out.
Yeah.
And that ties directly into storytelling, something Guillebeau really emphasizes. It's crafting a compelling narrative, but focusing on the benefits, the emotional connection, not just dry descriptions.
Yeah, I get that.
He even has this whole section called Fish Stories. Gives practical examples of how to reframe those business concepts into narratives that, grab people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
And something you can try right now. Think about your business idea. How would you sum it up in, say, a 140-character mission statement? What's that core value, and how do you express it so that it really, truly resonates?
Okay, that's a good one. Love it. I think anyone could benefit from that, even if they aren't, starting a business. But let's talk about those who are ready to take the leap. Guillebeau also gets into some really interesting launch tactics, some of them pretty surprising.
Oh, yeah. He talks about Carol and Adam, a design duo. They created, get this, a 72-hour fire sale for their product bundles. Talk about leveraging scarcity and urgency. Ended up with a six-figure payday.
Wow. Plays on that fear of missing out, right?
Classic marketing tactic. But it works, especially when you pair it with a genuine, valuable proposition.
But then he also talks about some launches that, well, didn't go so well, like his own travel ninja product. Flopped, right? Too focused on the technical features, all the bells and whistles, instead of the real benefit, which was finding those cheap flights.
Easy mistake to make. Especially when you're so passionate about the technical side of things. It's like you forget that people care about what it does for them, not how it works,
Right.
Keep the message simple, focus on the benefits.
Makes sense. Oh, and he also talks about launching his empire building kit, which he cleverly tied to a personal trip he took on the Amtrak Empire Builder train. The timing coincided with his birthday, so, added that personal touch.
Oh, that's a good example of, how authenticity and personal storytelling, it can be so powerful. People are drawn to those real stories, those connections.
Yeah.
He's inviting the audience to be a part of his journey.
Love it. Okay, let's talk marketing. The book is all about this idea of hustling. You know, building relationships, giving value, getting the word out organically, as opposed to like traditional advertising.
Exactly. Like think about Megan Hunt, the dressmaker. She calls her approach strategic giving, and it's brilliant. She sends these custom dresses to influential bloggers, upgrades shipping for free, includes thoughtful gifts, all that.
It's more than just, a transaction, right?
Way more. It's about connection, creating that positive experience, and she gets it. People trust recommendations from their friends, influencers they follow.
Guillebeau even compares spending, say, $10,000 on advertising versus investing 10 hours in hustling.
The results might surprise you. He found that hustling, that one-on-one, those authentic interactions, they often produced way better results in terms of engagement and sales. People are skeptical of all that advertising.
So if you're thinking about starting a business, maybe skip the marketing textbooks, pick up the $100 startup.
It's packed with those real-world examples, practical advice to help you find your path.
So what's the big takeaway here? What can we learn from these unconventional entrepreneurs?
For me, it comes down to a few things. Start small, focus on value, use what you already know, and take action. Don't be afraid to challenge those assumptions about business and find a path that truly, aligns with your own definition of success.
It's about finding that freedom, whether it's staying small, keeping things flexible, or scaling up, creating something bigger. It's all about you.
And that brings us to a crucial question for you, the listener. What's one small action, just one you can take today, inspired by these entrepreneurs to move closer to that ideal life?
Could be anything, brainstorming a business idea, updating your resume, learning a new skill, anything. Just take that first step.
You don't need all the answers right away. Just start. These entrepreneurs, they show us it's about experimenting, learning as you go, adapting.
And if you're looking for more inspiration or maybe some resources, I highly recommend checking out Chris Guillebeau's website. It's 100startup.com. Tons of info, tools, and a supportive community.
So keep learning, keep hustling, keep that spirit alive. We'll be back in a jiffy with more insights from the $100 Startup. Yeah. And that's the key, right? Taking action. It's so easy to get stuck in the planning, strategizing, overthinking. But these entrepreneurs, they just do it, even if it's something small.
Yeah. Like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
So true. But what about when you're already, up and running? How do these micro businesses avoid burning out? How do they grow without getting totally overwhelmed?
One strategy Guillebeau talks about is franchising yourself. Now, before you picture like a whole chain of burger joints, let me explain.
Okay, yeah, because that doesn't really sound like, the whole micro business vibe we've been talking about.
Right, it's not like that at all. This type of franchising is about creating multiple income streams, usually by, adding products or services that build on what you're already doing, your existing skills and all that.
So not literally franchising, but more like expanding, branching out.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's this woman, Natalie, she calls herself the raw foods witch, and she built this whole, successful business around her passion for, raw food.
Makes sense.
But she also had this background in, get this, software engineering. So she launched a whole separate tech consulting business on the side.
So it's like raw food in the front, tech consulting in the back, a business mullet.
Exactly. It's brilliant. Diversify your income, tap into different markets. It's about recognizing, you probably have more skills than you think and finding those creative ways to monetize them. And another one, Happy Knits. It's a yarn store.
Yeah.
But they thrive by building this incredible community, offering these unique products and giving that exceptional customer service.
Right. It's not enough to just like offer a product or service anymore. It's got to be an experience, a feeling, something that makes you stand out, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of standing out, let's talk pricing. How do these entrepreneurs decide, what to charge? Guillebeau is all about focusing on value, not just like your costs.
Yeah, it makes sense. But how do you put that into practice,
It's a mindset shift. We get so stuck in the hourly rate or like the cost of materials, but we should be asking, what problem am I solving and how much will people pay for that?
So it's not just your time and effort, but the value you're actually delivering.
Got it. Exactly. Guillebeau gives this example of Gary Leff, the frequent flyer guy. He charges a flat rate no matter how long it takes to make the trip. His clients, they're paying for his expertise, the convenience, No more stress.
Like paying a premium for that peace of mind. And you know what? Guillebeau actually suggests getting paid more than once for the same thing.
I know, right? Think subscription models, memberships, recurring services,
Yeah.
more stable income, right?
Like Netflix, Spotify, even the gym.
Exactly. Guillebeau calls this continuity. You're not just relying on one-off transactions.
Yeah.
But even with all that, the pricing and the recurring revenue, you still got to step back and see how things are going. Take a look.
Right, the business audit. Sounds scary.
No, not at all. It's really just asking yourself a few questions. Where am I making money? Is my message working? Are my prices right? What about my existing customers? Simple stuff.
Just checking in, making sure you're on track.
Exactly. And sometimes those adjustments, they can be, pretty big. He talks about Chris Murray. She started out doing marketing for small businesses, then realized, hey, bigger companies, bigger impact, more money.
So you got to be ready to adapt, change things up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not always, a straight line to success. Sometimes you get to zig and zag a bit. And, Guillebeau, he's not afraid to share those cautionary tales either, like Copley Trash Services. Two young entrepreneurs started a trash collection service on a hospital ship. Sounds simple enough.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Well, they tried to outsource the work, right, to a local crew, and things went downhill fast. It's a reminder that delegating, outsourcing, it can be tricky, especially when it affects your reputation.
Sometimes it's better to keep things small, manage it yourself, even if it means growing a little slower.
And that brings us to, those different paths entrepreneurs take. Guillebeau, he lays out 3 options: stay small, scale up, or something in between.
Finding that sweet spot.
Right. The book talks about Jessica. She's a bookkeeper. Love the flexibility, the personal connection. She's intentionally staying small, prioritizing her life over, crazy growth.
It's not all about the money, right? It's about designing a business that fits your life, your priorities.
Then you have, Tom Bin. He designs bags, owns his own factory, could totally scale up, partner with big retailers. But he chooses to stay true to his vision. Quality over quantity.
It's about control, making sure your values are reflected in everything you do. Sometimes you got to say no.
And then there's that middle ground, right? That's where working on your business, not just in it, becomes so important.
So it's about taking a step back, right?
Right.
Thinking strategically.
Exactly. Planning, evaluating, looking for opportunities, and track those numbers. Sales, traffic, engagement, make decisions based on data.
Now, what about those of us who, aren't ready to quit our day jobs just yet? Still got that entrepreneurial itch, though. Guillebeau has some great advice for side hustles.
Perfect way to test the waters,
Yeah.
Explore those passions, make some extra cash. Low risk.
He talks about time management, too. Finding those pockets of time, even if it's just an hour here, an hour there, it all adds up.
And for those worried about, health insurance, benefits, all that, he gives some real options. Partners Plan, Cobra, freelance unions.
There are resources out there to help with those practical challenges. It's amazing, right, all these creative solutions. And speaking of amazing, the $100 Startup is full of these success stories. It really shows you all the different paths you can take. So let's dive into a few. What do you think?
Yeah, let's. One that really stuck with me was Brandon Pierce. He created this music teaching software. The cool part is it allows him to live this nomadic lifestyle, traveling the world, making money.
Talk about living the dream, right? And it just shows you how technology has opened up so many possibilities. He's not tied to one place. He can run his business from anywhere. Perfect example of that micro business lifestyle.
Exactly. And then there's Kyle Hepp. She's a photographer, turned her passion into a whole business. She travels all over, shooting weddings, special events.
It's like getting paid to travel and capture those special moments,
Yeah.
right? Amazing.
And even traditional skills,
Yeah.
like photography, they can be leveraged in new ways in this micro-business world. It's about finding that niche, building that brand.
Totally. And the $100 Startup also features John T. Unger. He's an artist, built a whole career doing what he loves, even after, facing some setbacks. He had to rebuild his studio after a fire, actually.
His story is so inspiring. Shows you that resilience, perseverance, it's essential. There will be obstacles, challenges, but it's about getting back up, pursuing that vision.
So, okay, we've covered a lot here. What are the big takeaways from the $100 Startup? What can we learn from all these entrepreneurs, the unconventional ones?
For me, it boils down to a few key things. Start small. Focus on value. Use what you already know and take action. Don't be afraid to challenge those old ideas about business, Find your own path, your own definition of success.
It's about, that freedom, staying small, flexibility, or scaling up, doing something big. It's all about you.
And that brings us to a question for you, the listener. What's one small action, just one, that you can take today, inspired by these entrepreneurs to get closer to, to that ideal life?
Anything, really. Brainstorm an idea, look at your resume, learn a new skill. Just take that first step.
You don't have to have it all figured out. Just start. Experiment. Learn as you go,
And hey, if you're looking for more inspiration, more resources, check out Chris Guillebeau's website, 100startup.com. It's got tons of info, tools, a whole community.
So keep learning, keep hustling, keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive. That's all for today's deep dive into the $100 startup.